Hi everyone, you're all welcome back to my channel. In this tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to draft this off-shoulder bustier for a plus size. Okay, this blouse is for a plus size, and if you also want to attach strap to yours, I'll also be showing you how to neatly achieve that on your bustier. Okay, you can attach strap, you can just leave it like that. Okay, is based on your preference. The bust size that I use in this tutorial is 47.5. So you can use this method from 47 to around 50 inches, and it's going to give you a perfect outcome just like this. If you are yet to subscribe to my channel, please do hit on the red button to subscribe so you can be part of the community. For this off-shoulder bustier, I'm going to begin by drafting a basic bodice block first, while I'll make the alteration to create our off-shoulder. This is a very simple and easy method to use, especially for beginners. The length of my blouse is 25 inches, and the shoulder measurement that I'm working with is 16 inches. I'll go on and divide that by 2 to give me 8 inches. I'll mark it right at that point. And also the neck width that I'm using is 3 inches. I'm making use of neck width of 3 inches and neck depth of 3 inches. I'll create my points right there. I'll connect them, then create my curve. Now at the shoulder point, I'm going to be marking my shoulder slope. I'll come down by 1 inch at that shoulder point and create a slant like this, connecting to my neck width. Now the next thing is to take my armhole depth. To determine that, I'll divide the bust measurements of 47.5 inches by 6, and then I'll add 1.5 inches, which will give me 9.4. I'm going to mark it right at that point. So the next thing is to determine the midpoint of this armhole depth. I'll place my tape like this and bend it in order to get the midpoint, which is right there. At that midpoint, I'll come in by ½ inch to create my armhole curve. But before doing that, I'll divide the bust measurement that I'm using by 4 inches and I'll mark it right there. Then at that midpoint, I'll come in by ½ inch. So now I'm going to connect the point from the shoulder to that ½ inch point that I came in by, then to the round bust measurement, which I took earlier. So this is how to create your armhole curve. The next thing is to go ahead and take all my vertical measurements. I'm going to be taking my bust point of 12.5 inches. I'll roll a straight line across. The next thing is the under bust point, which is 17 inches. Okay, I'll also roll a line across, and then the waist point that I'm working with is 20 inches. I'll mark it right there. And roll a straight line across. And then we have the full length of the blouse, which is 25 inches. I'll go on and label the lines, okay, for clarification. So this is the bust point, the under bust point, the waist point, and then that's the full length of my dress, of the blouse, sorry, and then the chest line. Next is to mark my horizontal measurement. I'm going to divide the bust circumference by 4. Bust of 47.5 inches divided by 4. I marked what I have at that point. And then the under bust is 40 inches divided by 4. The waist circumference is 41 inches. I'll be dividing that by 4 and marking what I have at that point. Now at the full length, which is also the upper hip, I'm going to mark the upper hip circumference divided by 4. I'll place it at that point. Okay, so the next thing is to connect all the points together. After this, I'll still go ahead to smoothing out that pointed edge at the waist point, just like that. Okay, so next is for me to mark the dart leg. The dart measurement I'm working with, which is the bust span, the measurement from one nipple to the other nipple is 10 inches. I'll be dividing that 10 inches by 2, which will give me 5 inches, and I'll go ahead to add ½ inch for sewing allowance. So I'll be marking 5.5 inches from the bust point down to the full length. I'll rule a straight line connecting this point. Next, I'll be marking my off-shoulder neckline. Okay, to do that, I'm going to be placing my tape at the top, and I'll be coming down by 7 inches. Okay, the actual neck depth is supposed to be 7.5, but because of sewing allowance, I'm making use of 7 inches. The remaining 0.5 will be used for sewing around my neckline. I went on to mark it, and then I ruled a straight line like this. So this is the new neckline for the blouse. Alright, so now at the armhole, I'm going to be coming down by 3.5 inches. I'm at 3.5 inches right there. Okay, then I'll go on to create my sweetheart neckline. This off-shoulder is a sweetheart neckline. If you do not want it to be sweetheart, you can just leave it straight. So I'll go on to rule the line, creating the neckline. This is what I have. I'll use my marker to trace out the line so you can see it better. After this, I'll extend the dart line, connecting it to the new off-shoulder neckline. Alright, after this, I'll go on to take my underbust tightening. At the underbust, I'll place my tape from the dart line. Look at the underbust. Place my tape from the dart line, and I went out by 3 inches. I'll mark that 3 inches at the waist point and also at the full length of the blouse. I'll rule a straight line connecting these points together. Okay, if you're working with a bust measurement of 40 to 45, you can use 2.5. But from 46 to 50, you can use these 3 inches. Okay, so I'll go over to the bust point. At that bust point line, I'm going to come down by 2 inches. If you are working with a measurement that is lesser, like from 40 to like 45, you can come down by 1.5 inches. And from like 38, you can come down by 1 inch. This is just to create enough room for the bust to properly sit in the blouse. Alright, so your bustier area is not looking pointed, but is open enough for the bust to sit well. Now I'll go over to the overbust to tighten the neckline. Okay, I'll be taking the overbust tightening. So at this dart leg, I'll be going out towards the armhole by 1 inch, and then towards the center front, I'll come in by ½ inch. Alright, this is to avoid gaping on your blouse. Now at the down parts, at the hem parts of the blouse, I came out by ½ inch as well. Now at the bust point, I'm going to be going up by 1.5 inches. Like I earlier said, this is to prevent the bust area from being narrow and give it enough room for the bust to sit. We are working on a plus size bustier. Alright, so I went up by 1.5 inches before connecting the dart leg at that point to that 1.5 inches. I'll do the same thing at the other part. I'll connect it to the 1.5 inches. All this is going to prevent the bust area from being narrow. Follow this step by step and you will have a perfect bustier for your plus size clients. Now from the hemline, I also went ahead to connect that ½ inch to the bust point area as well. I'll use my marker to trace the lines out so you can see it more clearly. If you have watched this video to this point, thank you for staying tuned. If you are yet to subscribe to the channel, please do hit on the red button to subscribe. Give this video a thumbs up. You can also share and leave a comment. If you have a question, you can drop it in the comment section as well. Now, after I'm done tracing out the lines, the next thing that I'll be doing is to replace all the darts that I took out. At the hip point, I'm going to be replacing 3.5. Remember, we took 3 towards this side and ½ inch towards the other side. So I'm going to be placing 3.5 right there. At this point, I'll place 3.5 as well. And at the under bust is that's basically 3 inches. I'll move over to the off-shoulder neckline and I'm going to be replacing the dart as well. I took 1.5 inches, so I'm going to be marking 1.5 inches here to create a new armhole. I'll extend that line and then I'll create my new armhole curve. Make sure you do all of this so you do not run short of fabric. So here is my new armhole curve. Now I'll go on and connect this point. Okay, and at the bust point, at the bust area, I replaced 1.5 inches. Okay, that 1.5 inches that was taken around the neckline, I replaced it at the bust area. All right, so that's how I got to connect the line at that point. Now the next thing is to add my sewing allowance of 1.5 inches. I'll add it around the bust, the waist, and the full length of my blouse, and I'll be connecting these points together. After connecting the points, what I'll be doing next is to go up at the hem part of my blouse. Okay, towards the side, I'm going to go up by, I think I went up by 1.5 inches. You can do 2, you can do 2.5. This usually gives the blouse a good fitting. Okay, it looks better when you do this. I'll create a slight curve right there, connecting to the rest part of the hem. So now I'll be cleaning up these pencil lines so that I can take my bust dart. Bust dart is very important. It gives you that perfect cinching at the waist. Now at the bust point line, I'm going to be coming down by 2.5 inches. This 2.5 inches is the difference between my client's front waistline and back waistline. Her front waistline is 20 inches while her back waist point is 17.5 inches. So the difference is what I'm using to, which is 2.5, is what I'm using to create the bust dart. I went ahead to connect that line to the bust point line at the dart area like this. Look at how I went about it. Okay, so now I'll be closing up that dart line. But first off, I'll need to cut off this part so that I can be able to move my paper around. I'll cut through the dart line like this, and I'm going to stop very close to the bust point line, but don't cut through it. Then I'll also come to the side and I'm going to cut through like this. I will stop very close to that dart line at the bust point, but just make sure you don't cut through it, but very close. We want this paper to be able to move freely so that I can close up the bust dart. You see, just look at how I'm going about this. Cut very close so that the paper can move freely. Then I'm going to move it like this, closing up the bust dart. Do you see that? Good. So just follow it the way you're seeing me going about it. You're going to have a very beautiful blouse at the end of the day. I will use my paper tape to hold it. You can use your gum to hold it together like this. Now, if you notice, you can see that there's already shortage around the bust area. What you need to do is just to carry your ruler and connect it like this, to close up that shortage. That is just it. Is very easy. Now the next thing is for me to go on and cut out my pattern. Watch carefully how I'm going about this so you don't mess yours up. I want to say a very big thank you to my subscribers, and if this is your first time of being here, thank you for joining us. If you've watched to this point and you're here to subscribe to the channel, please hit on the red button to subscribe. Also give this video a thumbs up so it can get to a wider audience. Do not forget to share, and also you can drop a comment. I'm done cutting. This is what I have. And okay, I noticed that there's something that I should have done earlier before cutting the neckline area. Now, if I try to sew or like try to join these two, you will see that one part, the side is going to be longer than the center front. Can you see we have about 0.75 inches shortage right there? I should have extended it before cutting out, and this happened because I went out towards the bust area by 1 inch, while towards the center front I went out by 0.5, so it's already made one part of the dart longer than the other. So due to that, I'm going to be extending it now. Okay, so at that center front there, I'll just go up by 0.75 inches, and then I'll connect the lines. It's better, I usually like to have excess and trim off than to have shortage. If after sewing there is excess, you just trim off, but just do this to avoid shortage. Okay, so I'll just go on and follow the marking I've done, and I'll just cut out. All right, so now if I try to connect it, you can see it's equal at this point. Can you see that? Initially I had a bit of shortage. Okay, so that is just it for the front part of the bodice. For the back part of this bustier, I'll quickly run through the drafting process. I've already gone ahead to measure out the zipper line. Right there, I used 2 inches. I'll go on and mark my shoulder measurement of 8 inches, neck width of 3 inches, neck depth of 1.5 inches for the back. Okay, I'll create my curve at that point. And then at the shoulder point, I'll come down by 1 inch to create my shoulder slope. And I'll take the armhole depth of 9.4 inches. We already know how I arrive at this. Divide your bust measurement by 6 and add 1.5 inches. Okay, that's how to get your armhole depth. The next thing I'll be doing is to take the vertical measurement, which will just be my waist point for the back, which is 17.5 inches. That I don't need under bust for the back, so I won't be taking the under bust point or the bust point. I'll go on and create a straight line connecting my points. Okay, and yeah, for the full length, I'm going to use the front piece pattern to determine the full length later. Next, I'll go on and take my horizontal measurements. I'll divide the bust circumference of 47.5 inches by 4, and I'll mark what I have there. The waist circumference of 41 inches, I'll divide it by 4 and mark, and also the hip circumference, the upper hip circumference of 48 inches. I went on to divide it by 4, and then I marked what I have right at the full length. I'll connect all my points together. Okay, and this is what I have. So for the back armhole curve, I'll just determine the midpoint, and from there I'll create a curve like this. Very simple. You can use your free hand to do this. Next is for me to create the off-shoulder neckline for the back. I'll come to the shoulder point and I'll be coming down by 3.5 inches, just like I did for the front. And then at the center back, I'm going to come down by 7 inches. Okay, I'll come down by 7 inches like this. You can choose to keep it straight, depending on how deep you want your back to be. Or you can choose to create a curvy effect like this, just like a U kind of shape for the back neckline. So this is what I have for the back neckline. I'll go on and trace it out with my marker. Now I'll be marking my dart, the nipple to nipple measurement, which is 10 inches divided by 2, which will give me 5. I'll add ½ inch for sewing allowance, making it 5.5. I'll place the measurement on my waist point, on the full length of my blouse, and also at the new neckline, 5.5. I also went ahead to label the lines. Okay, so I'm going to be connecting these points together from the top to the bottom. I'll connect them together. Okay, so now I'm going to be taking 0.75 inch at both sides of my dart leg. Okay, and then at the top, I'll be taking ½ inch at both sides. ½ inch on one side, half on the other. I'll go on and connect these points. Okay, so after connecting the points, I'll be eliminating the zipper bulge. So at the waist point, right at the waist point there, I'm going to come in by ½ inch, which is 0.5 inch. I'll come in by 0.5 inch, and I'm going to blend the line into the neckline and into the hem of the blouse like this. Okay, so now I'm going to create a new zipper line. All right, I'll be creating a new zipper line. So to do this, I'll go on and mark my zipper allowance of 2 inches. You see where I placed the tape at the waistline? From that ½ inch that I came in by, I marked 2 inches and I marked it all the way up. So you can see how the curve is still created at the allowance parts. Okay, so just follow it this way. And this is what I have. So that's my zipper, my new zipper allowance. I'll be replacing the darts. At the hip point, I'll be replacing 1.5 inches. I'll be doing same thing at the waist points, replacing 1.5 inches. And at the bust, I'm going to be replacing 1 inch. Then I'll go on and connect the points. I'll go over to the neckline and I'll be replacing that dart at that point, which is 1 inch. So I'll be creating a new armhole curve. Okay, so this is it. You can use your free hand to do this as well. Now I'm going to be picking the front pattern. I'll be using it to determine the length for the sides for the back, because the sides need to align. So I have it right here. The waist points are aligning. Okay, the waist points on each other, they are both aligning at this point. I'm going to go on and mark that point where the front waist stop. I think I have about 4 inches, yeah, or 3.5. Okay, so that's where the back waist at the side is also going to stop. So you need to use your front pattern paper to place it like this, so that to make sure everything is aligning. All right, at this point you can choose to maintain the length you already have, which is 25 inches, or you can go up by 1 or 2 inches, but I'm going to maintain the length. So I'll curve it inward like this, and this is it for the back pattern. I realized that I've not added my sewing allowance. I forgot to do that earlier, so I'll quickly add the sewing allowance, 1.5 inches. At the waist, I'm going to be adding 2 inches because of the zipper bulge that I took, coming in by ½ inch. So I added 2 inches at the waist, and at the hip points, I'll be adding 1.5 inches. I'll connect all these points together. And I'll retake the side again because of this adjustment. So I'll place it and retake it again, so you can see the difference there. I'll slant it into the rest part of the length of the hem, and this is what I have. So the length for the back that I use is also 25 inches. The only place I had a difference is just at the sides, okay, where I use the side for the front to determine how the side for the back will be, and that is to make sure they both align, because you need the front and the back sides to align perfectly. Thank you to all of you for watching to this point. Don't forget to hit on the red button to subscribe to the channel, and also give the video a thumbs up. I'm done cutting. So now you can choose to put your patterns together like this. Use your masking tape to hold them together and cut as one piece on your fabric instead of plenty pieces. The outcome is still going to be the same with when you sew the dart. Alright, so this is just like sewing the dart in a way, which makes your work easier. I'll be uploading the sewing part of this tutorial next. It's very detailed. I'll be showing you the cutting process and how I went about sewing it step by step. See you there.